Welcome back. We are discussing investment trends and we are joined in studio by Mr. Reginald Kitsutu. Reginald is an economist as well as an investment professional with over 15 years, I think 15, 18 years of experience in this market. Before we took the break, we were discussing how does Africa compare to the global world when it comes to investments, and our investments are luxury. We would like to hear your thoughts in as far as this conversation is concerned, and also we are available to take your questions. Now, we want to change gears just a little bit to understand the investment trends. And just before we took the break, Reginald and I were just getting into a one-on-one in terms of Reginald. You have been in the industry for so long. You have interacted with the smartest people in the industry, looking at the continent. You're very smart, very experienced, well achieved. But now I'm just coming back to say, so what? So, I mean, from what you have done, what you have learned, your experiences, what you have seen. Today as Mbithe, and I'm trying to think about my future self. I don't even know if I will be here, but if I am here, what am I thinking about when I'm thinking about investments? Are there opportunities to put my money in? Should I keep trying to find out what are the latest investment trends? How should I think about investments?
I think the mistake most people do is one, try and copy everyone else in the industry. Try and invest like Warren Buffett, or try and invest like so and so. This guy did this and it worked for them. And my point is, what they were investing for was, investment is not an end in itself. Investment is a means. Saving and investment is a means towards a goal. What are your goals? Because your saving and your investment has to be goal-based. If it is not goal-based, then you don't know whether you're earning the right return at the right level of risk.
Okay.
So if for example, I want to retire simple. I just want to have my 4 acres, 5 acres, piece of land with my small house, 4, 5, not even 5 bedroom. That was 3 bedrooms. By that time, ideally, it should be me and my wife. So we don't need a mansion to live in.
Okay.
I keep some chickens for my eggs, a goat for my milk, a small place where I can till to keep myself active, grow my vegetables, my herbs.
But what's the rationale for this? Why am I focusing on having a place I can stay? Why is it important to have a place where I can grow my vegetables?
It's important because you want to reduce as much of recurrent expenditure when you're no longer earning an income.
Okay.
Because now you, at the point of retirement, you're saying, this is my net worth. This is my financial position. So let's assume you have 50 million or you have 100 million. This 100 million needs to last you for the next 20, 30 years, if you live for that long. Or it needs to last you, actually, it just needs to last you until you die. Yeah. So how do you make that last? You don't want to be spending money buying one egg at, when it's 20 shillings, by then it may be 100, 120 shillings.
Exactly.
If the inflation trends continues. You don't want to be hustling to look for milk and paying for milk. You don't want to still be paying rent by the time you are retiring. Let your bill only be water and electricity. If you've actually sunk a borehole, the better for you. If you have solar. So you're trying to reduce what consumes most of your income right now, because you have to stay in Nairobi and work in Nairobi, so you have to pay someone rent, water, electricity, transport, and all those things. You are trying to say, I want 3 acres where I can walk around to keep myself active. I'm trying to grow everything so that my trips to the supermarket are also reduced. I'm not paying rent. I have my solar, I have my bowl. You realize now 50 million or 70 million, inflation adjusted for whenever you retire,
yes,
can last you another 20, 30 years.
Okay. So
at the point of retirement, your main concern is preservation of capital and steady income.
Okay.
When you are beginning to work in your 20s to early 30s, you are trying to max out saving in the investments that can give you the highest return possible, because you can take those risks then. But what people don't understand is, as much as you're getting older and most probably earning more, your expenses are also increasing. You have children, you're paying school fees, and all those are things that come with that. So when you are earning 100,000, 150,000, you might actually realize that your disposable income was close to 60-70%
Yes.
of your total income.
Exactly.
But as you're getting to your 35s and 40s, yes, you're earning $1 million, but of that 1,600,000-700,000 is wiped out because of expenses.
Okay.
So your ability to save during that middle age is actually drastically reduced.
All right.
And that's where most of us make a mistake. We miss out, including myself, we missed out a period where we could have pumped in a lot into savings.
And that's 20 to 30.
20 to 30.
20 to 28, 27.
Yeah, 30, before you start having children. That's the period that you can max out in saving, invest in stocks, and try out different types of investments. But once you start having children, like what we mentioned earlier, your risk appetite starts drastically reducing because you're thinking, I can't take too much risk. I need to make sure that school fees is paid,
Okay.
University fees is paid, and all those things. And the problem that we have, our generation also, is trying to live such an expensive life now. If you look at how we were brought up, as in, you'll get new clothes during Christmas. You knew how to take care of your clothes. But we're a generation where we want to buy our children new clothes every month. It adds no value to them. It adds no value to their self-esteem and just consumes our money. So if you then look at the amount of money you earn and you realize, okay, I only earn 100,000. So what are you doing staying in Kileleshwa where your rent is 60,000? That's already 60% of your. So if you say I earn 100,000, let me go stay where I can pay 20,000 rent.
Exactly.
All of a sudden you have 80,000 disposable income. And if you put even 80,000 monthly in a money market fund, compounding 9-10%, you retire in the hundreds of millions. So let everything be goal-based. Don't try to copy someone's investment style. Copy people, which assets or asset allocation people are putting their money in. Your asset allocation needs to fit with your goals, both your short-term, medium-term, and long-term goals. So if you come and say, this is how I'm invested, I should be able to know that, okay, clearly you have some goals that are due in a year or two, but 30% of your portfolio looks like it's in short term.
So
I can see you have some goals that are in the long term. That means most probably this might be your retirement or maybe children's university or, but if then your asset allocation looks like the one for Britam or ICA or Old Mutual, then you start wondering what are your goals.
Okay, so it has to be goal-based.
It has to be goal-based, yeah.
I like when you say goal-based because there's two ways of looking at goal-based. It could be I need to pay for something in a year or 2 years or 3 years, or it can be every single year. For example, what I try to do for myself is, can I increase my personal net worth by a certain percentage point? So trying to look at it in that perspective. But let me take now another direction, Reginald. 100 million. That sounds like such a beautiful number. I'm already thinking, my goodness, 100 million in my account. I can see the sunset. I'm on a beach somewhere. But the reality is, if by the time you get to 100 million, the amount of work that you have done, if it is genuinely earned, would not even allow the luxury to be seated on a beach somewhere. That said, I'm 30 years. Let's have a scenario here. Perhaps I'm 30 years of age, or I'm 25 years. Possibly I can work till the age of 60, 65. The work environment, it's volatile. The industries are changing. How we do work has changed, especially with COVID-19. I have the option of trying to be the best employee I can possibly be, so that I sort of end up defending my position in terms of my employment income every month. Or there is opportunity and there is the talk of, we are an entrepreneur, there's so much energy inside of you. The target is 100 million in 30 years. What's the best investment before you even come to equities? Because you need to generate income. How should I think about the most stable way of generating income if I'm 30 years today and I hope to retire at the age of 60, which is another 30 years, and I want 100 million to be the number that I have in my account, or at least in terms of the value of my assets?
So to begin with, 100 million in 30 years' time most probably will be equivalent to 56 million now.
Okay, so let's say 200 million.
So it sounds so high,
yes.
But in terms of purchasing power, it may not be that much.
Okay.
Because inflation is coming
yes.
to Kenya. In the next 2-3 years, inflation is definitely coming. What do you then do? One advice I always give people is never forgo one stream of income to earn another stream of income. So what do I mean by that? As much as you might be an entrepreneur with all this energy that you have in you, if you have a salary, that is a stream of income.
Okay.
Don't quit your job in the name of trying to go get another stream of income. For me, that is now foolishness. Yeah. If I'm earning 100,000, 200,000 every month, that's well and good. That is guaranteed. As long as I perform at work, that salary is going to come in at the end of the month. I don't have to worry about that coming. The next step is then to think of how do I start creating opportunities to generate for me passive income.
Okay.
So that entrepreneurial skills that you have, you can bake or you can do makeup and stuff like that, is thinking, okay, so can I do makeup during weekends for weddings? You don't have to quit your job for that. Every Saturday you can have 2-3 weddings that you do makeup, earn your 100 and 200,000. You might even earn more than what you earn in your monthly salary. But the problem that most people do now is that thinking, oh, this thing is giving me more money than my job. You quit your job for this. But that's a stream of income that you have just lost.
Yes.
Ideally. So try and generate passive income. And there are many things that you can actually do without leaving your employment. Another thing that people don't like doing is investing in people's ideas. Warren Buffett is one of the richest people in the world, not because he started anything of his own, but he had some money, looked for good ideas, invested in those good ideas, let someone else do the work, and he made the return. So if in Mpithi, you know, oh, Reginald is good in whatever he's good in, he just needs to sort out his PR or his marketing, but Reginald doesn't have money for that. You come and say, Reginald, I want a stake in your company, 20-30%. So I'm not paying you to buy that stake. We are putting the money inside the business, and I will deal with the marketing.
Okay.
Yeah. So if you find this guy becomes a billionaire, all of a sudden you own 20% on a skill which is not yours, his skill. Yeah, because you have the you have the capital. So that's another way of generating passive income. Because by the time you're reaching 40, 45, even 50, you need to have passive income which is close to 40 or 50% of whatever salary you are getting. And passive income can also be gotten from financial securities. So you are buying your shares, and not speculatively buying. You are buying for value.
Yes.
So you are saying, I'm going to buy 10,000 of Equity Bank every month. Trust me, by the time you retire and you're buying 10,000 of equity every month, even if they declare 2 shillings dividend, your 2 shillings dividend might actually be equal to 5-10 million a year. That's money that you have no stress about. It's easily available because you can sell those shares and all. So if you're a 30-year-old and you're thinking, how do I reach 100 million? You're not going to reach it earning your salary. And if you're earning your salary, one secret I can tell you is that you're one step away from poverty. Okay. One firing letter away from poverty, literally. Okay. So you need to start generating that that passive income. Then if you think you may not reach your 100M mark by retirement, then start investing in skills that can make you be able to work after retirement. So you retire at 60. If you have invested in a PhD, you can still lecture for another 10 years. You can consult at a policy level for another 10-15 years. You can sit on boards because of your skills. So if you think I'm not going to reach my monetary amount, then think of what skills do I need that will generate me income in my retirement without making me do an 8 to 5.
Okay.
But if you get a consultancy job for IMF, one consultancy job can pay you $1 million, $2 million. And easily do it without doing an 8 to 5. So if I was a 30-year-old, that's how I would be thinking.
Okay.
If I was someone getting into campus, I would then think, sit down and say, where is the world going? Yeah. So should I do a big Bachelor of Science in philosophy or anthropology or some of these degrees that are there, which you wonder, why do we even have such degrees? Or should I do a degree that does artificial intelligence, biomedicine, big data. Start thinking of it towards that direction. So don't just say, I went to university, I did a BCom in marketing. So that you come out and say, I have a university degree, but yeah, even accounting, we're reaching a point where most of the work that an accountant is done is automated.
Okay.
So the question is, you need to think of that before you choose the degree you're going to do in university. And then don't just go to university for the sake of going to invest it. You are better off now using, maybe even starting a business instead of going to campus. If you're going to do some degree that, you know, even after I come out, I'm not going to get a job anywhere.
Okay.
Yeah. So there are people that have done mechatronics in Kenya. Futuristic, yes, it is. Hopefully one day we'll reach there whilst they're still alive. But our trend of economic growth is not that much. So before campus, think of where it's going to in the future. In your 30s, think of ways of generating passive income, and do not throw away your current source of income to try and get another source of income.
Fantastic. Now we come to the final question for this afternoon. Investment trends. Where are people putting money in this final quarter, and what are the top considerations, briefly, please?
I think the trend will still remain, especially for Kenya, is most money will go to money markets and fixed income because people are completely risk averse. And also, as you can see, that we are deep into political campaigns. So the political risk is also increasing. And the danger of this is because we are having going to have an election where the incumbent is not going to be running. So there is policy risk. What if the next person who comes hikes taxes or hikes borrowing or changes the direction of where they want the country to go? So you'll find most people who err on the side of risk aversion, and then they will put money in money markets or fixed income, which in itself is rather sad, because then in such an environment where you have low inflation and low interest rates, equities should be booming. Private equity should be booming because you can get money cheap and put in more high-risk investment. So if you want to back the trend, I will advise you to actually go that route.
Okay.
But some of these equities, even the ones which are listed, you're not going to get them the prices that you're going to find them.
Okay.
For most private equities which are trying to get out of COVID, you realize there are companies that are going to be giving essential services for other companies to boom. I would have expected now your 7Cs, your Craft Silicons, your Cellulents to be looking for capital to drive the digital agenda for the country. And if you have money and you want to go into private equity, those are the companies I will be going into. Okay. In terms of the future, especially if you're looking at 20, 30 years from now. Okay. You don't want to sit back and thinking, I should have bought Cellulent back then. We problem that we normally have 20/20 hindsight.
Exactly.
Of always looking and thinking, I should have bought equity.
Really should have.
Yeah, I should have bought equity back then, or I should have bought Safaricom at 2 shillings 50 cents.
Yes.
But doesn't help us when it's it's now at 30.
All right, fair enough. So I think we've come to the tail end of our show today, and what I hear you saying is there's investments. I can either feed my mind and my curiosity by trying to be up to date with each and every single investment trick in the book, or I can decide to ask myself, what am I trying to achieve? And then I can reevaluate, and then in a way you're forcing us to sort of be intentional about our financial future, as opposed to accepting whatever is given to us and taking what's given to us. Mm-hmm. We've come to the tail end of our show. Is there any other parting shot, apart from, you have told us fixed income is probably going to be the dominant asset allocation for the next quarter? Is there any parting shot when you're thinking about investment trends beyond personalize the journey for yourself and then find what fits for you?
Take risk. I'll keep on saying that. There is no return without risk. And you can lose some money during risky ventures, but you take calculated risks.
Okay.
And I think that's one thing that separates those that actually end up making it financially in the right way, obviously. I know corruption is also a risk, because it's a risk of getting arrested.
Yes.
But even the guy who's stealing is taking a risk.
Fantastic.
And so take risks.
All right, take risks. So thank you so much. That's all the time we had for you. That was Reginald joining us this afternoon. We were talking about investment trends. So yes, there are the numbers which you look out for each and every single reporting period, but there's also an element of your behavior and your stance. It's one thing to know what exactly is happening across global and local markets. It's another thing to ask yourself, what does this mean for you? What's your personal net worth? What are your goals for this year, before the year ends, for the coming year, for the next 3 to 5 years? And in that way, then you're able to allocate time and resources, key being capital, to these assets. But the other thing that we've had If you don't have income, then investing becomes a luxury. So if you are young or whatever age you're at, I think efficiency and productivity has been the key conversation this era of COVID-19. If you have an 8 to 5, what are you doing between 4 a.m. to 8 in the morning? If you have an 8 to 5, what are you doing after 5, 6 to even midnight? What are you doing? Are you just a consumer of social media, or are you using social media as a way of distributing our product or service? And if you are doing that or considering doing that, the reality from the people who have gone ahead of us and have been able to make it in Africa is that it's not a one-off thing. You can't do it one day, be a superstar. It's something that you keep doing for as long as you are alive. And my message to you is find a way to thrive and still be alive, as opposed to always looking at other people's stories and wondering why. That's all the time we have for you this afternoon. Thank you for your time. We hope to see you tomorrow. Good afternoon.